Jiwoo lifted another cargo container onto the magnetic cart. Her muscles burned from the weight, but she kept her face calm. The container was heavy even by station standards. Most aliens complained about lifting them. She did not complain. She never complained. The orbital station buzzed with activity around her. Epsilon 7 was one of the largest trading hubs in this sector of space. Hundreds of alien species walked through its corridors every day. Some had scales, some had fur. Some looked like insects grown to the size of humans. They all came here to trade, to sell, to buy, to make deals. Humans were new here. Only 6 months ago, Earth had finally been accepted into the Galactic Council. But it was probationary acceptance. Humans had to prove themselves worthy. They had to show they could follow the rules. They had to demonstrate they belonged among the stars. Jiwoo had been on the station for all 6 months. She worked in the freight bay, moving cargo for merchant ships. It was simple work. It was honest work. It kept her busy and kept her mind quiet. "Hey, Jiwoo," Hyun called from across the bay. He was another human worker, older than her by a few years. His face always looked worried. "Did you finish the Draknor shipment?" "Almost done," she replied. Her voice was soft, barely carrying over the sound of machinery. Hyun walked over, glancing around nervously. He always glanced around nervously. "Be careful with those. Vorshak gets angry if anything breaks." Vorshak was a Draknor merchant. He had red scales and yellow eyes that never blinked. He paid on time, which made him better than most. Jiwoo nodded and continued working. The freight bay was located in the lower levels of the station. It was not a pretty place. The walls were metal, scratched and dented from years of cargo handling. The air smelled like engine oil and ozone. Bright lights hummed overhead, casting harsh shadows. Jiwoo liked it here. It was away from the crowds, away from the noise of the upper levels where aliens drank and laughed and made their deals. Down here she could work in peace, but peace never lasted long. She heard them before she saw them. Loud voices speaking in the clicking language of the Vespari. Jiwoo recognized the sound. Everyone on the station recognized it. When the Vespari clicked like that, someone was about to have a bad day. 5 of them entered the freight bay. They were insectoid creatures standing upright on 2 legs. Their bodies were covered in dark green chitin hard as armor, 4 arms extended from their torsos, each ending in sharp claws. Their heads were triangular, with compound eyes that saw in multiple directions at once. The one in front was Krelvex. He was the leader of a gang that controlled parts of the station's black market. Station security knew about him but did nothing. Krelvex paid the right people, made the right threats, and stayed just inside the line of what was legal. Hyun froze when he saw them. His face went pale. "There he is," Krelvex said in common Galactic. His voice was high-pitched, like metal scraping metal. The human who forgot to pay his fees. I paid last week," Hyun stammered. "I gave you everything." Last week's fees. Krelvex clicked his mandibles together in what might have been laughter. "This week is a new week. Prices have gone up." The other Vespari spread out, surrounding Hyun. Jiwoo watched from beside her cargo cart. She did not move. "Not yet. I don't have more money," Hyun said. His voice shook. "You took everything already. Then you should have worked harder." Krelvex stepped closer. "Or maybe we need to teach you about responsibility." One of the Vespari grabbed Hyun's arm with 2 of his claws. Hyun tried to pull away but could not break free. The Vespari was much stronger. "Please," Hyun begged. "Please, I'll get you the money. Just give me time." "Time?" Krelvex tilted his head. "Time is expensive too." The Vespari holding Hyun shoved him backward. Hyun stumbled and fell to the ground. Another Vespari kicked him in the ribs. Not hard enough to break anything, but hard enough to hurt. Jiwoo set down the container she was holding. She walked toward them. Her steps were quiet, but Krelvex noticed. "Stop," she said. Her voice was still soft, still calm. All 5 Vespari turned to look at her. Krelvex's compound eyes focused on her face. He clicked his mandibles again, amused. "Another human," he said. "The little female wants to help her friend." "Leave him alone," Jiwoo said. "He's already paid you." "This is not fair." The Vespari found this hilarious. They made clicking sounds that echoed through the freight bay. To them, the idea of a human talking about fairness was a joke. Krelvex walked toward Jiwoo. He was taller than her by almost 2 feet. His shadow fell over her, but she did not step back. "You are new to the station," Krelvex said, "so I will teach you how things work here. Humans are weak. Humans are soft. Humans are prey species who only just learn to fly between stars. You do not tell us what is fair. I'm asking nicely, Jiwoo replied. Please leave. Asking? Krelvex leaned down, bringing his face close to hers. His breath smelled like rotting meat. You should be begging. His primary claw came up fast. It struck Jiwoo across the face, a backhand slap that had the weight of his entire arm behind it. The sound cracked through the air like a gunshot. Jiwoo's head snapped to the side. The force sent her sprawling to the ground. She landed hard on the metal floor, her body sliding a few feet before stopping. Blood trickled from her split lip, dark red against her pale skin. The Vespari laughed. The sound was like grinding gears, see? Krelvex said to his gang. Fragile. Like all prey species. He looked down at Jiwoo. Stay down, little human. Be grateful I did not break your skull. Jiwoo lay on the ground. She did not move. Her eyes stared at the floor, unfocused. Blood dripped from her mouth, forming a small pool beside her head. Let us go, Krelvex said to his gang. The humans have learned their lesson today. They walked away, still clicking their laughter. One of them kicked Hyun again as they passed, just for fun. Then they were gone, disappearing into the maze of corridors that connected the lower levels. Hyun crawled over to Jiwoo. His face was bruised, and he held his ribs carefully. Jiwoo, are you okay? For a long moment, she did not respond. Then, slowly, her eyes focused. She was staring at something on the far wall. A security camera. Its red light blinked steadily, recording everything. I'm fine, she whispered. But Hyun saw something in her eyes that made him uncomfortable. It was not pain. It was not fear. It was something cold and calculating. Something that was measuring and planning. Jiwoo touched her split lip with her fingers. She looked at the blood on her hand. Her expression did not change. Not yet, she whispered to herself, so quietly that Hyun almost did not hear it. She stood up slowly, testing her balance. Her face was already swelling where Krelvex had hit her. It would bruise badly, but she moved normally without hesitation. Come on, she said to Hyun. Let's get you to medical. As they walked toward the medical bay, Jiwoo looked back once at the freight bay, at the cargo containers, at the shadows, at all the places where someone small and quiet could disappear. Her expression remained calm. But inside something was waking up, something she had tried very hard to keep sleeping. The medical bay treated Jiwoo's split lip with a standard healing gel. The station doctor, a four-eyed Quellan with gray skin, seemed uninterested in how she got injured. Violence among lower-level workers was common. The doctor applied the gel and sent her away. Jiwoo returned to her quarters in the human residential section. It was a small room, barely 10 feet across. A bed, a desk, a small bathroom. The walls were bare except for one picture frame. Inside was a photo of her family back on Earth. She looked at the photo for a long time. Her father stood tall in his military uniform. Her mother smiled beside him, wearing her medical corps badge. Her brother Taemin stood between them, already grown and serious even at 18. And there was Jiwoo, younger, smaller, but with the same calm expression she wore now. That photo was from 10 years ago, before everything changed. She sat on her bed and let her mind wander backward. Memory was a strange thing. You could lock it away, bury it deep, pretend it did not exist, but it was always there, waiting to surface. Her father had started training her when she was 6 years old. Every morning before school, they practiced in the backyard of their home. Simple movements at first. How to fall without getting hurt. How to keep balance. How to breathe. Fighting is not about anger, her father had told her. It is about control. Control of your body. Control of your mind. Control of the situation. She learned Taekwondo first. The kicks, the strikes, the precise movements. Her father made her practice each technique 1,000 times. Then 10,000 times, until her body moved without thinking. When she was 12, her mother started teaching her anatomy. Where the weak points were on a human body, where a small amount of pressure could cause maximum pain or disable an opponent completely, her mother called it combat medicine in reverse. By 14, Jiwoo was learning Krav Maga from her father's military friends. It was not a sport. It was a survival system. Every move was designed to end a fight as quickly as possible. No rules, no mercy. Just effectiveness. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu came next. Her father wanted her to understand grappling, ground fighting, and how to escape from holds. Size does not matter on the ground, he said. Technique matters. Leverage matters. Jiwoo had been a quiet child. She did not talk much in school. Other kids thought she was shy. They did not know that after school she was learning how to break bones with minimal effort. When she turned 18, she enlisted. The newly formed Earth Space Marines needed recruits. Humanity had just developed faster than light travel. They had just discovered they were not alone in the universe. And they had quickly learned that space was not safe. Boot camp was easy for Jiwoo. She was already in better shape than most recruits. The physical tests that made others quit were barely challenging for her. The hand-to-hand combat training was basic compared to what her father had taught her. But the real training came later. Advanced combat courses, zero-gravity fighting, weapon systems, tactics, strategy, how to think like a soldier. They sent her unit to the outer colonies. There were problems there. Rogue AI constructs from an old war had become active again. They were killing colonists, destroying settlements. Someone had to stop them. Jiwoo earned her nickname during her third mission, Ghost, because enemies never saw her coming. She moved through combat zones like a shadow. Silent, invisible, lethal. The other soldiers in her unit respected her. They also feared her a little. There was something unsettling about how calm she remained during combat. While others shouted and cursed and let adrenaline drive them, Jiwoo simply worked, efficiently, precisely. The incident that ended her military career happened on a planet called Vega 7. Her unit had been ambushed. 12 soldiers surrounded by enemy constructs. Communications were down. Extraction was impossible. The unit commander ordered everyone to dig in and wait for rescue. But Jiwoo knew rescue would not come in time. She could see it in the tactical situation. They would all die waiting, so she disobeyed orders. She left the defensive position alone, in the dark, with minimal weapons, and she went hunting. It took her 6 hours. 6 hours of moving through hostile territory, setting traps using the environment, picking off enemies one by one. The constructs were machines. They should have detected her. They had thermal sensors, motion detectors, advanced AI, but machines think in patterns. Jiwoo did not move in patterns. She moved like water, like wind, like something that was alive and thinking and adapting. By dawn, the area was clear. Her unit was safe. The constructs were destroyed, and Jiwoo walked back into camp covered in oil and coolant fluid, carrying parts from enemy machines as proof. The commander wanted to court-martial her for disobeying orders. But headquarters wanted to give her a medal for saving 12 soldiers. They compromised. They gave her an honorable discharge with full benefits and told her to disappear quietly. She had not argued. She was tired of fighting, tired of violence, tired of being the person who solved problems by breaking things and people. So she came to Epsilon 7. She took a job moving cargo. She used a civilian identity. She told no one about her past. She just wanted peace. But peace, she was learning, was not something you could just choose. Sometimes it had to be defended. Jiwoo stood and walked to her closet. She pushed aside her work clothes and pressed her hand against the back wall. A panel clicked open. Behind it was a small compartment built into the station's wall structure. Inside were items she had hoped never to use again. 2 combat knives, black and non-reflective. A collapsible baton made from military-grade alloy. A small data chip labeled in her handwriting, Emergency Protocol Alpha. She picked up one of the knives. It felt comfortable in her hand. Like greeting an old friend. She tested the weight, the balance. Still perfect. There was also a communication device. Encrypted, untraceable. She activated it and recorded a short message. Taemin, it's me. Things might get complicated here. Just wanted you to know I'm okay. For now. She sent the message into the void. Her brother was somewhere in the galaxy, working as part of Earth's diplomatic corps. He would receive the message eventually. He would understand what complicated meant. Jiwoo returned the items to their hiding place and closed the panel. Not yet. She did not need them yet. She went to her computer terminal and accessed the station's public databases. She started researching. Vesperi biology, their weak points, their cultural practices, their patterns of behavior. She learned that Vesperi had excellent vision but relatively poor hearing. Their chitin was strong but had weak points at the joints. They were fast in straight lines but not agile in tight spaces. They relied on numerical superiority and intimidation. She also researched Krelvex specifically. His gang had been operating on the station for 3 years. They primarily targeted newer species who did not understand station politics. Humans were their latest focus. There were no official complaints on record. Everyone was too afraid. Station security, led by a corrupt official named Vorn, took bribes to look the other way. Jiwoo compiled all the information into a file. She backed it up to 3 separate secure locations. Then she sat back and thought. She did not want to fight. But she had learned a long time ago that wanting peace and getting peace were 2 different things. Sometimes you had to make people understand that you would fight if necessary, that you could fight, that you would win. Her lip had stopped bleeding. The healing gel was working fast. By tomorrow there would only be a small bruise. She touched her face where Krelvex had struck her. She remembered the feeling of his claw hitting her skin, the laughter of his gang, the way they had looked at her like she was nothing. They thought humans were weak. They thought wrong, but Jiwoo would not correct them yet. Let them think she was afraid. Let them think she was just another victim. Let them feel confident and comfortable. Predators made mistakes when they felt safe. She opened her communication device again and sent another message to Taemin. This one was longer, more detailed. It contained a full report of everything that had happened, copies of all her research, and a final note. If something happens to me, make sure this information reaches Earth Command. They need to know what we're dealing with out here. Love you, brother. She sent it and closed the device. Tomorrow she would return to work. She would move cargo. She would keep her head down. She would watch and wait, because Jiwoo understood something that Krelvex did not, something that her father had taught her long ago. Patience was a weapon, and sometimes the most dangerous person in the room was the one who had not moved yet. 3 days passed without incident. Jiwoo worked her shifts, moved cargo, and kept to herself. Her lip healed completely. The bruise faded to yellow and then disappeared. Hyun was more nervous than usual. He jumped at shadows and kept looking over his shoulder. The beating had scared him badly. He told Jiwoo he was thinking about leaving the station, going back to Earth. It's not worth it, he said while they loaded a shipment of mining equipment. The money is good, but what's the point if we live in fear? Jiwoo did not reply. She understood his fear. But running was not always the answer. The human community on Epsilon 7 was small. About 40 people total. Most were merchants, traders, or workers like Jiwoo. They kept to themselves, trying not to attract attention. Trying to prove that humans could fit in. That changed on the 4th day. Jiwoo was in the freight bay when Dae came running in. He was a merchant who sold imported goods from Earth. Tea, mostly, and some traditional crafts. He was older, maybe 50, with gray in his hair and lines around his eyes. Help, he gasped out of breath. Please, someone help. Jiwoo set down the container she was holding. What happened? They took Mina, Dae said. His voice was shaking. They took my daughter. Several workers gathered around. Hyun was there and 2 others, a woman named Bora and a young man named Jinwoo. Who took her? Bora asked. The Vespari. Krelvex. Dae was almost crying. They came to my shop. They wanted money. Protection fees. I told them I already paid. They said the price went up. I said I didn't have more. So they took Mina. They said I have 2 days to get the money or I'll never see her again. Jiwoo felt something cold settle in her chest. How old is Mina? 16, Dae said. She's just a child. Please, I went to station security. They said it was an internal matter. They won't help. Of course they won't, Hyun said bitterly. Vorn is paid off. Everyone knows it. What do we do? Jinwoo asked. We can't fight the Vespari. They'll kill us. We pay, Bora said. We pool our money together and pay the ransom. And then what? Hyun asked. They'll just do it again. Take someone else. Keep taking until we have nothing left. They argued back and forth, voices rising, fear and anger mixing together. Jiwoo listened to all of it. She watched Dae's face, saw the desperation there, a father who would do anything to save his child. She knew that feeling. She had seen it before. In her mother's eyes when Taemin had been injured during training. In her father's face when she had come home from that last mission. Love made people vulnerable, but it also made them strong. Dae, Jiwoo said quietly. The others kept arguing, but Dae heard her. He turned. If I get Mina back, you need to understand something. I will do whatever is necessary. It might not be clean. It might not be legal. Do you accept that? The freight bay went quiet. Everyone stared at Jiwoo. You? Hyun said. Jiwoo, you can't be serious. They'll kill you. I asked Dae a question, Jiwoo said, her eyes never leaving the older man's face. Do you accept? Dae looked at her for a long moment. He saw something in her expression that made him straighten up, something that made him wipe his tears and nod. Yes, he said. Any means necessary. Just bring my daughter home. I will, Jiwoo said. She left the freight bay before anyone could argue. She went to her quarters and opened the hidden compartment. This time she took everything out. The knives, the baton, the data chip, and one more item she had hoped never to use, a small device that could hack into the station's security systems. She changed her clothes. Instead of her work coveralls, she wore dark pants and a dark shirt. Flexible, easy to move in. She strapped the knives to her belt and collapsed the baton so it fit in her pocket. Then she went hunting. The station's lower levels were a maze. Jiwoo had spent 6 months learning every corridor, every service tunnel, every maintenance shaft. She knew where the cameras were. She knew where the blind spots were. Krelvex's gang operated out of an old storage section that had been closed for repairs. Officially closed, anyway. In reality, it was their base. Station security knew. They just pretended not to. Jiwoo found an access tunnel that led near the storage section. She moved through it slowly, carefully. She had brought a small scanning device that could detect movement and heat signatures. She found them. 9 heat signatures, 8 Vesperi. 1 human. Mina Jiwoo spent an hour just watching. She planted tiny cameras at different angles. She studied their patterns. Who moved where, who stood guard, who seemed alert and who seemed bored. Krelvex was there in the center of the main room. He was talking to someone on a communication device, probably making more threats to other human families. Mina was in a storage cage in the corner. She looked scared but unharmed. The Vespari were not torturing her. They were just holding her, waiting for her father to pay. Jiwoo pulled back to a safe distance. She reviewed the camera footage on her datapad. She counted exits, identified weapons, noted which Vespari were bigger and which were smaller. Then she made her plan. It was not complicated. Complicated plans failed. Simple plans executed perfectly worked. She would walk in the front entrance. She would demand Mina's release. They would refuse. They would attack. And then she would show them what a human could do. But first, she needed insurance. She uploaded all her camera footage to a secure server. She set up an automatic deadman switch. If she did not enter a code every hour, the footage would automatically send to every major news network in the sector. Evidence. Proof of what the Vespari were doing. Even if Jiwoo failed, even if they killed her, the truth would come out. She sent one last message to Taemin. Short and simple, going loud. Protocol Alpha, I love you. Then she walked to the storage section's main entrance and knocked on the door. It took a moment. Then the door slid open. A Vespari guard stood there, looking down at her with his compound eyes. What do you want, human? I'm here for the girl, Jiwoo said. Mina, let her go. The guard clicked his mandibles in laughter. You think you can just ask? I'm not asking, Jiwoo said. I'm telling you. Let her go now. Last chance, the guard found this hilarious. He called back to the others. The little human is here. She says we must let the girl go. More clicking laughter from inside. The guard stepped aside and gestured for Jiwoo to enter. Come in. I am sure Krelvex will want to hear this. Jiwoo walked in. The storage section was large, with high ceilings and stacks of old containers lining the walls. The Vespari gang was spread out across the room. Krelvex stood in the center, exactly where Jiwoo had seen him on the cameras. He recognized her immediately. You, the freight worker I taught a lesson to. He tilted his head. You want another lesson? I came for Mina, Jiwoo said. She kept her voice calm, steady. Release her and I'll leave peacefully. Peacefully? Krelvex clicked with laughter. Humans and their peace. You are so weak you must beg for peace constantly. The other Vespari moved to surround Jiwoo. She let them. She stood in the center of the room, hands at her sides, relaxed. Please, she said one more time. Don't make me do this. Do what? Krelvex stepped closer. What can one small human female do against 9 Vespari warriors? Jiwoo looked at him. Really looked at him. Studied his eyes. His posture. His confidence, he truly believed she was helpless. He truly believed humans were weak. He had struck her days ago and she had not fought back, so in his mind she could not fight. It was the same mistake predators always made. They saw prey that did not run and assumed it was frozen in fear. They never considered that it might be choosing not to run, that it might be waiting for the right moment. Last chance, Jiwoo said. Krelvex raised his primary claw, the same one he had used to strike her before. I will break you this time, little human. Then we will ransom you too. 2 humans for twice the price. His claw came down fast and hard, aimed at her face, but Jiwoo was not there anymore. She had moved. Finally, after days of waiting, after years of holding back, after a lifetime of keeping the violence locked away, she moved and everything changed. Krelvex's claw cut through empty air. Jiwoo had stepped inside his reach, moving under his strike with a speed that surprised him. Her elbow drove up into the joint where his primary arm connected to his thorax. The chitin cracked. The sound was like breaking ice. Krelvex's compound eyes went wide with shock. Pain signals flooded his nervous system. He opened his mandibles to scream, but Jiwoo was already moving to the next target. The Vespari to her left was reaching for a weapon, a plasma club hanging from his belt. His hand never reached it. Jiwoo's leg swept up in a perfect arc. Her boot connected with the side of his head. His vision went black and he dropped 2 down. 7 to go. 5 seconds elapsed. The other Vespari finally realized they were in a fight. They spread out, forming a loose circle. 3 of them had weapons now. Shock sticks and plasma clubs, meant for intimidation more than killing, but still dangerous. The first one rushed at Jiwoo from behind. She heard his feet on the metal floor, heard the buzz of his shock stick powering up. She waited until the last possible moment, then pivoted. Her hand caught his wrist mid-swing and redirected the shock stick into another Vespari's stomach. Blue lightning crackled. The second Vespari convulsed and fell, muscles locked in spasm. Jiwoo used the first attacker's momentum against him. She pulled him forward off balance, then swept his legs. He went down hard. Her boot came down on his head once precise. He stopped moving, 4 down. 3 standing. 15 seconds elapsed. The remaining 3 realized they were in serious danger, and they tried to coordinate. 1 moved left, 1 right, 1 straight ahead. Classic pack tactics. Surround and overwhelm, Jiwoo dropped low. The center attacker's plasma club swung over her head. She rolled forward between his legs and came up behind him. Her arm wrapped around his neck in a chokehold her Brazilian jiu-jitsu instructor would have been proud of. The Vespari struggled, but Jiwoo's grip was perfect. She controlled his body, used him as a shield. The attacker on her left fired his plasma club anyway, hitting his own teammate. The blue bolt hit the Vespari Jiwoo was holding. He went limp. She released him and turned to face the last 2. They hesitated. That hesitation was fatal. Jiwoo's hand went to her belt. One of her combat knives appeared in her grip. She threw it. Not at the Vespari, but at his weapon. The knife hit the plasma club's power cell. It sparked and died. The Vespari stared at his useless weapon. Jiwoo closed the distance before he could react. Her hands moved in a blur. Strike to the throat. Strike to the nerve cluster behind his arm joint. Kick to the back of his knee. He collapsed, gasping for air. 1 left. Plus Krelvex, who was still standing but holding his damaged arm. The last gang member made a decision. He ran, not at Jiwoo, away from her. Toward the exit, Jiwoo let him go. She was not here to kill anyone, just to get Mina back. 28 seconds had passed since Krelvex's first attack. 8 Vespari were down, some unconscious, some just hurt too badly to continue fighting. Krelvex stared at Jiwoo with his compound eyes. She could see his mind working, trying to understand what had just happened. How 1 small human had destroyed his gang in less than 30 seconds. What are you? He clicked. I'm the person you shouldn't have hit, Jiwoo said. Krelvex pulled a vibro blade from his belt. It was a serious weapon designed to cut through armor. The blade hummed with energy. He held it in his good hand, the one that was not damaged. I will kill you, he said. There was no laughter in his voice now. Only fear and rage. You can try, Jiwoo replied. He charged. It was a desperate attack, all his strength behind it. The vibroblade cut through the air toward Jiwoo's chest. She waited. 1 breath, 2, then she moved, sidestep, minimal movement. Just enough to let the blade pass by her. She could feel the heat from it, smell the ozone. Her hand shot out and grabbed Krelvex's wrist. She used his momentum, added to it, directed it. Krelvex slammed face first into a support pillar. The impact stunned him. The vibroblade clattered to the floor. He turned, disoriented. Jiwoo was right there. 3 strikes. Fast and precise. First strike, the nerve cluster at the base of his neck. His upper body went numb. Second strike behind his knee joint. His leg buckled. Third strike, a pressure point on his weapon arm. The limb went completely dead. Krelvex collapsed. He was not unconscious, but he could not move. Paralyzed by precisely targeted nerve strikes, Jiwoo knelt beside him. Her breathing was barely elevated. No sweat on her face. She looked calm, like she had just finished a light workout instead of defeating 9 opponents. "On my world," she said quietly, "we have a saying. The silent ones are not weak. They are just waiting." Krelvex tried to speak, but his mandibles would not work properly. Jiwoo stood and walked to the storage cage. Mina was pressed against the back wall, eyes wide with shock. She had just watched a human woman do the impossible. "It's okay," Jiwoo said gently. "I'm here to take you home." She examined the lock on the cage. It was electronic but old. She pulled out her hacking device and attached it. The lock clicked open after a few seconds. Mina did not move. "She was still in shock, Mina," Jiwoo said softly. "Your father sent me. Day, he's waiting for you." At her father's name, Mina finally moved. She stepped out of the cage on shaking legs. "Close your eyes," Jiwoo told her. "I don't want you to look at them." Mina closed her eyes. Jiwoo guided her carefully across the room, avoiding the unconscious Vesperi bodies. She led her to the exit. Behind them, Krelvex made a clicking sound. Jiwoo glanced back. He was trying to speak, trying to threaten her, but his body would not obey him. "The paralysis will wear off in a few hours," Jiwoo said. "You'll be fine. But if you ever touch another human on this station, I will come back, and next time I won't be gentle." She activated the dead man switch on her datapad. Instead of waiting, she sent the footage immediately. To news networks, to the Galactic Council, to Earth's embassy, evidence of everything that had happened. The extortion, the kidnapping, the corruption. Then she left with Mina. They took the service tunnels back to the human residential section. Mina kept her eyes closed the whole way. Jiwoo held her hand, guiding her carefully. When they reached safety, Jiwoo called Day on her communication device. "I have her. She's safe. Meet us at Medical Bay Entrance 3. Day's voice was choked with emotion. "Thank you. Thank you." At the medical bay, Day was waiting. When he saw Mina, he ran to her and pulled her into his arms. They both cried. Mina was shaking, still in shock, but she was home. Day looked at Jiwoo over his daughter's shoulder. His eyes asked a question. "What did you do?" "She's safe," Jiwoo said. "That's all that matters. The Vesperi? Alive, station security will find them soon. And the whole galaxy will know what they did." Day nodded slowly. He understood. Jiwoo had not just rescued Mina. She had made sure there would be consequences. Real consequences. "I don't know how to thank you," he said. "Take care of your daughter," Jiwoo replied. "That's enough." She turned to leave, but Day called out. "Who are you?" "Really?" Jiwoo paused. She looked back at him, at Mina, who had opened her eyes and was staring at her savior. "Just a freight worker," Jiwoo said. "Someone who wanted to be left alone." She walked away before they could ask more questions. 3 minutes later, station security arrived at the storage section. They found 9 Vespari gang members, some unconscious, some injured, one paralyzed, all defeated. Security Chief Vorn stood in the center of the room staring at the scene. He was a Kratian with 4 arms and grayscales. He had been taking bribes from Krelvex for years. "What happened here?" he asked one of his deputies. The deputy was examining the unconscious Vespari. "I don't know, sir. But whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing. Precise strikes. Minimal damage. Professional work." Vorn's 4 hands clenched into fists. "Find out who did this." But even as he said it, he knew it was pointless. The footage was already spreading across the galactic net. Everyone would see it. Everyone would know. And station security had done nothing to stop it. Vorn realized his career was over. More than that, he realized something else. Humans were not what everyone thought they were. Not weak, not helpless, not prey. The galaxy was about to learn a very important lesson, and Vorn had a feeling this was just the beginning. The footage reached Earth's embassy within an hour. Within 3 hours, it had spread to every major news network in the sector. Within 6 hours, the entire Galactic Council had seen it. A single human woman defeating 9 Vespari gang members in 58 seconds. The video was analyzed by military experts across a dozen species. They watched it frame by frame. They studied every movement, every strike, every decision. The consensus was shocking. This was not luck. This was not desperation. This was professional, highly trained combat expertise. On Earth, in the embassy on the capital world of the Galactic Council, Taman received an emergency summons. He was escorted to a secure conference room where representatives from 20 different species waited. The Galactic Council's military advisor, a 8-foot-tall Kratian named Vex, stood at the head of the table. He gestured to the screen showing Jiwoo's fight. "Explain," Vex said. Taman watched the footage. He recognized his sister immediately. Pride and worry mixed in his chest. She had told him things might get complicated. She had not mentioned she was going to start a diplomatic incident. "What do you want to know?" Taman asked. "Is that human military?" demanded a Quellan representative. "No," Taman said truthfully. "She's a civilian." "A freight worker," the room erupted. Representatives from multiple species started talking at once, accusing, demanding answers. Vex slammed one of his forehands on the table. The room went quiet. "A civilian freight worker," Vex said slowly, "defeated 9 trained Vespari fighters in less than 1 minute. Explain how this is possible." Taman stood. He walked to the screen and paused the footage on Jiwoo's face. Calm, focused, deadly. "You want to know what humans are?" he asked. "I'll tell you." He pulled up a data file on the screen. Earth appeared, rotating slowly. "Our world has gravity approximately 30% higher than galactic standard," Taman began. "Every human you meet has been living under that gravity their entire life. Our muscles, our bones, our entire body structure developed to handle it. When we come to stations like Epsilon 7, everything feels lighter, easier." He brought up more data. Physiological comparisons. Human reaction time when trained averages 0.13 seconds. Galactic standard is 0.31 seconds. We process threats and respond faster than most species. "But strength," a representative started, "is not just about size," Taman interrupted. "Human muscle density is over twice the galactic average for our body mass. We are pound for pound stronger than we look." He pulled up historical data. Images of Earth's past. We evolved on a death world. A planet with extreme weather, dangerous predators, and diseases that killed millions. We survived by becoming adaptable, by becoming persistent, by refusing to give up. More images. Human history. Wars, conflicts, survival. We fought each other for 200,000 years. Every advancement in technology was matched by advancement in warfare. We learned to fight with sticks, then swords, then guns, then weapons that could destroy entire cities. We have been at war with ourselves for our entire existence. The council chamber was silent now. Every representative was staring at the data. "That woman in the video," Taman continued, "is not special among humans. She is trained, yes, but millions of humans have similar training. We teach combat to our children. We practice fighting as a sport. We study violence the way other species study art." He looked around the room, meeting eyes with representatives who now seemed uncertain. "You thought we were weak because we are smaller than many species, because we seem soft, because we ask for peace." Taman's voice was hard now. "Let me be clear. We ask for peace because we know the cost of war. We have paid that cost over and over throughout our history. We ask for peace because we are tired of fighting." He paused. "Let that sink in. But never ever mistake our desire for peace as an inability to fight. We are not weak. We are restrained. And there is a very big difference." A human military advisor stepped forward. Colonel Park, a woman in her 50s with gray hair and hard eyes. "If the council wants a full demonstration," she said, "we can arrange it. We have a battalion of Space Marines stationed 3 systems away. They would be happy to participate in joint training exercises with council military forces." The implications hung in the air. It was not a threat. Not exactly, but everyone understood. If one civilian freight worker could do that much damage, what could trained soldiers do? Vex studied the humans for a long moment. "That will not be necessary. The council accepts your explanation." But a Draknor representative stood. "What about the kidnapping? The extortion? What will be done about that?" Station security is investigating, Vex said. Station security was complicit, Taman said flatly. Chief Vorn took bribes. He allowed this to happen. The evidence is in the footage. Vex's expression did not change, but something flickered in his eyes. Embarrassment, perhaps, or anger. Vorn will be investigated, he said. If found guilty, he will be removed and charged. And Krelvex. Taman pressed. The Vespari gang will be arrested and tried for kidnapping. The maximum sentence? Taman nodded. It was not perfect justice, but it was something. The council meeting ended. Representatives filed out, many of them still glancing at the frozen image of Jiwoo on the screen. Taman stayed behind. He looked at his sister's face. So calm, so controlled, even in the middle of a fight. Be safe, he whispered to the image. Please be safe. Back on Epsilon 7, Jiwoo returned to her quarters. She cleaned her knives and put them back in the hidden compartment. She collapsed the baton and stored it away. Everything went back to its hiding place. She was washing her hands when someone knocked on her door. She checked the security camera first. It was Station Security Chief Vorn, flanked by 2 armed deputies. Jiwoo opened the door but did not invite them in. You are under arrest, Vorn said. His voice was stiff, angry. For what crime? Jiwoo asked calmly. Assault. You attacked 9 individuals. I rescued a kidnapped child, Jiwoo interrupted. From criminals who were extorting the human community. Criminals that your security force did nothing about. Vorn's 4 hands clenched. You cannot take the law into your own hands. I asked for your help. The victim's father asked for your help. You refused. Jiwoo pulled out her datapad. I have recordings of Day's visit to your office. I have evidence of your communications with Krelvex. I have financial records showing the bribes you accepted. She held up the pad. Would you like me to send these to the Galactic Council? I'm sure they would be very interested. Vorn's expression went from angry to uncertain. He knew he was in a dangerous position. The footage of the fight was already causing problems for him. More evidence would end his career completely. You have made powerful enemies, he said instead. It was a weak threat. And you have lost your power, Jiwoo replied. Walk away, Chief, while you still can. The deputies looked nervous. They knew the situation was turning bad for Vorn. They did not want to be caught up in it. Vorn stared at Jiwoo for a long moment. Then he turned and walked away. The deputies followed. Jiwoo closed the door. She let out a long breath. Her hands were shaking slightly. Not from fear. From adrenaline finally leaving her system. She sat on her bed and activated her communication device. There was a message from Taman. I saw what you did. The whole galaxy saw. I'm proud of you and I'm worried about you. Please tell me you're okay. Jiwoo smiled slightly. She recorded a reply. I'm fine. It's over now. I just want to go back to moving cargo and being left alone. She sent it and lay back on her bed. Over the next few days, things changed on Epsilon 7. Krelvex and his gang were arrested by galactic peacekeepers. Vorn was removed from his position and charged with corruption. New security leadership was appointed. The human community felt safer. They walked the corridors without fear. Other species looked at them differently now, not with contempt or dismissal, with respect, sometimes with wariness. Jiwoo returned to work in the freight bay. She moved cargo just like before. Quiet, efficient, keeping to herself. But word had spread. Everyone knew what she had done. Human workers started coming to her, asking questions, asking for advice, asking if she could teach them. She started small self-defense classes, nothing advanced, just basic techniques. How to escape from holds, how to defend against attackers, how to survive. I'm not teaching you to fight, she told her students. I'm teaching you to protect yourselves. There's a difference. Hyun was one of her students. He was still nervous, but less so now. Do you think they'll leave us alone? He asked after one class. Some will, Jiwoo said. Others will test us, but they'll think twice before attacking. That's the point. A week after the incident, Jiwoo was loading cargo when a group of aliens approached. Not hostile, just curious. They were from different species. A Drachnor, 2 Quellans, and a young Kratian. Is it true? The Drachnor asked. About your world? Which part? Jiwoo asked. The gravity, the evolution, that you are all. Like this. He gestured at her, struggling for words. Not all humans are trained fighters, Jiwoo said. But we are all stronger than we look. Yes, that part is true. Why did you not tell anyone? One of the Quellans asked. Why let us think you were weak? Jiwoo set down the container she was holding. She looked at them seriously. Because we don't want to be feared. We want to be friends. We want to trade and learn and grow together. She paused. But friendship requires respect. And respect means understanding that we can defend ourselves if necessary. The aliens nodded slowly. They seemed to understand. That evening, Jiwoo stood in the observation deck. She looked out at the stars, at the ships coming and going from the station. Taemin's voice came through her communication device. I'm coming to visit next month. Can you stay out of trouble until then? Jiwoo smiled. I'll try. The council is talking about creating official human-specific security protocols, Taemin said. They want to make sure incidents like this don't happen again. Good, Jiwoo said. Maybe other humans won't have to do what I did. You know you're famous now, right? There are already military academies studying your fight. They're calling you the Ghost of Epsilon 7. Jiwoo sighed. I hate that nickname. Taemin laughed. Too bad. It stuck. They talked for a while longer. About family, about home, about simple things that had nothing to do with fighting or politics. When the call ended, Jiwoo stayed in the observation deck. She touched her lip, where Krelvex had struck her. It had healed completely. No scar, no mark. But something had changed. Not just on the station, in the galaxy. Humans had arrived among the stars as supplicants, as the new species asking for acceptance, trying to prove they belonged. Now the galaxy knew the truth. Humans were not weak. They were not prey. They were survivors from a world that had tried to kill them for millennia. They were warriors who chose peace but could fight when necessary. They had struck the human girl and laughed. They had thought she was helpless. They had thought they could take whatever they wanted. They had never seen her move, had never realized that stillness was a choice, not a limitation, that patience was strategy, not weakness. And by the time they understood their mistake, it was already over. Jiwoo walked back to her quarters. Tomorrow she would move more cargo. She would live quietly. She would avoid violence if possible. But if someone threatened her people again, if someone mistook restraint for inability, she would move, and they would never see it coming. Because that was what humans did. They adapted, they endured, they protected their own. And the galaxy was finally beginning to understand what that meant.